What happens when a former president owes over $454 million in a civil fraud judgment? This is a question that has been a constant theme in the media lately, especially given the high-profile nature of the individual involved, Donald J. Trump. Trump is no ordinary former president but a business magnate, a television personality, and a polarizing figure in American politics. His tenure in the Oval Office was filled with controversies, and this massive debt is yet another one to add to the list. The debt in question has origins in a ruling made by Judge Arthur Engoron earlier this year. Judge Engoron is a well-known figure in legal circles, having presided over many high-profile cases in his career. His judgment in this case has led to a great deal of speculation and analysis, with some legal experts opining that it could have far-reaching consequences for Trump and his organization. In the immediate aftermath of the judgment, there was a flurry of activity. Trump's legal team and the New York Attorney General's office were at the center of this activity, scrambling to make sense of the judgment and its implications. The Monday deadline to secure a bond for the sum added to the urgency of this debt is not just a legal issue, it's an economic one as well. $454 million is a staggering sum by any measure. It's enough to buy a small country or fund a space mission. The sheer magnitude of the debt has led to questions about Trump's ability to pay it back. And if that wasn't enough, the figure increases further when one takes into account the money owed by his sons, Eric and Donald Jr., and the Trump Organization. It's an intricate web of debt that includes multiple players and entities, each with their financial complexities and legal implications. Interest is another factor that has contributed to the size of the debt. As of the date of the ruling, the interest that has accrued on the debt is significant. Interest can often be overlooked in discussions about debt, but in this case, it has been a key component in pushing the figure to a mind-boggling $463.9 million. When we include the money owed from his sons, Eric and Donald Jr., the Trump Organization, and the interest that has accrued as of the date of the ruling, the figure surges to a whopping $463.9 million. Experts who have been closely monitoring the progression of this case suggest that Attorney General Letitia James, a tenacious legal eagle, and her competent staff should be prepared to step into the intricate maze of legal proceedings that could potentially involve seizing President Trump's assets. This action would be necessitated if he does not come up with the requisite funds needed to cover the financial implications of Judge Arthur Engoron's ruling, a judgment that he has chosen to appeal. His assets, which have been the cornerstone of his wealth, include a broad spectrum of physical entities. These include towering buildings that rise high above the New York skyline, luxury houses situated in some of the most exclusive neighborhoods, fleets of cars that mirror the sophistication of their owner, helicopters that provide a bird's-eye view of his real estate empire, and even his plane that serves as a testament to his wealth. All these assets, which symbolize his business achievements over the years, are now potentially in the line of fire. However, the core focus of this legal pursuit may be directed towards his bank accounts. Experts in the field have pointed out that these bank accounts would be relatively easier to seize control of, given the legal provisions that allow such proceedings. In contrast, the properties owned by Trump, which consist of numerous luxury estates and commercial buildings, would present a formidable challenge. The legal complexities involved in gaining control over these properties are immense, given the multiple layers of ownership, leasing agreements, and the general legal framework that governs ownership. Trump, known for his astute business acumen and aggressive legal strategies, has already taken steps to safeguard his interests. In a move that indicates his apprehension about the potential financial impact of this case, Trump has submitted a plea to a state appeals court. In his plea, he has presented a request to either post a diminished bond or ideally, no bond at all. He has expressed a deep-seated fear of suffering irreparable harm if he were coerced into selling his properties. These properties, he argues, would have to be sold at a greatly reduced price, creating a financial situation comparable to a fire sale. If he ultimately wins his appeal, these property sales would be irreversible, thus leading to a permanent financial setback. The court, in consideration of all the factors presented, is in the process of deliberating on his plea. The court has not yet ruled. If the ex-president, Donald J. Trump, cannot provide the necessary bond, theoretically, officials stand poised to set into motion a complex, winding legal process that entails taking ownership of his assets. This would only come into play provided there aren't other strategic legal maneuverings being staged by state prosecutors or counters from Trump's formidable legal team. There are, of course, many options for these officials, many paths they could take, many assets they could consider seizing. They could very well turn their sights on his bank accounts, or his sprawling properties, many of which are well-known symbols of wealth and opulence. The glittering Trump Tower in the heart of New York City, the luxurious Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, or even the infamous Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C., all could feasibly be targets. The choice is a weighty one, and one that would no doubt have far-reaching consequences. Interestingly, many experts believe that the initial course of action should be to seize his bank accounts. They argue that this is the most straightforward path to take. Peter Katz, an experienced attorney and former federal prosecutor who has handled countless fraud cases in his career, gives his professional insight on the matter. He suggests, the banks are the part, they'll receive the judgment from the Attorney General, the court order. Then the banks will enforce. They take the funds from the account and put it in the Attorney General's accounts. The other stuff is a little more challenging. This process, while seemingly simple, does pose its own set of challenges. For one, seizing money from Trump's accounts would necessitate state prosecutors to formally request either the New York City Sheriff or a U.S. Marshal to march into the main branch of whichever bank Trump keeps his wealth. The official would need to be armed, not with a weapon, but with a court order. This court order would then need to be presented to the bank manager. As Adam Pollack, a former assistant New York State Attorney General who is now an authority on judgment enforcement, explains, they walk in and give it to the manager. The manager is supposed to pay over the amount forthwith. It should be a cashier's check. The image is stark. An armed officer of the law, a court order in hand, striding into a bank sees the funds of a former president. And yet, this could be the reality. If Trump can't secure the bond, this could well be the scene that plays out in the not-so-distant future. Seizing property, on the other hand, takes much longer. It is not an overnight process, but rather a painstakingly gradual procedure that demands an ample amount of time and resources. The first step in this convoluted process begins with the state prosecutors. These are the ones who determine the property that should be seized. After a period of deliberation and thorough investigation, they finally decide what property will be held under the execution order, a legal document that allows the procedure to take place. In addition to the execution order, the state prosecutors are also required to provide a fee. This is not a nominal amount, but a significant sum of $350. It is a mandatory payment that helps to facilitate and expedite the complex process of seizing property. The money is given directly to the sheriff's office, which plays a pivotal role in the enforcement of the execution order. Once they receive the execution order and the fee, the sheriff's office then begins the next phase of the process. They are tasked with the responsibility of posting the notice for the property in 3 distinct places. This is done to ensure maximum visibility and awareness about the impending seizure. Broadcasting the information in this manner allows for the public to be informed and prepared. However, the sheriff's office is not the only entity involved in the dissemination of information. The Attorney General's office also plays a critical role in this process. They are obligated to advertise the impending property seizure 4 times. This repetitive advertising is designed to ensure that the message reaches as many people as possible. It is a crucial step to ensure maximum transparency and to maintain the trust of the public. This extensive process, filled with paperwork, notifications, and advertisements, takes exactly 63 days, starting from the time when execution order is handed over to the sheriff's office. It is a long, structured, and meticulous process that often tests the patience of all the parties involved. Then, on the 64th day, a culmination of all the planning and preparation takes place. A public auction is held for the property. This is the final step in the long-drawn process of seizing property, where the property is auctioned off to the highest bidder. It is a day marked with anticipation and apprehension as the fate of the property is finally decided. Then, in 63 days from when the execution order is given to the sheriff, a public auction is held for the property. In summary, if the former president does not secure the bonds needed to cover the civil fraud judgment, the consequences could be severe. Officials would be granted the legal authority to start the intricate process of apprehending his assets. This is a pathway that starts with a scrutiny of his bank accounts, which historically have been a symbol of his financial prowess and personal wealth. From there, the potential move onto his properties begins. a portfolio that spans across numerous states and continents. Among the properties at risk would be glittering skyscrapers, lush golf resorts, and luxurious hotels, each one a testament to a business empire built over decades of strategic acquisitions and aggressive expansions. The thought of losing these pillars of his wealth and reputation is undoubtedly a significant concern for the former president, and it serves to highlight how serious the situation has become. What will transpire next is shrouded in the fog of legal complexities, as the court has yet to make its ruling on Trump's plea to post a smaller bond, or none at all. It's a plea that's been met with skepticism by many legal experts, who point out that the court's decision will hinge on the severity of the allegations and Trump's own financial standing. The prospect of posting bond or none at all is something that doesn't align with the traditional norms of the court. However, it's worth remembering that legal battles are not solely won on legal merits, but are influenced by a myriad of factors, including public sentiments, political pressures, and the skill of legal teams involved. Will the court accept a smaller bond or dismiss this request, siding with the officials who are eager to initiate the seizure process? The situation is not just about the immediate dangers of asset seizures, it's also about the broader implications for Trump's reputation, his business empire, and his future political ambitions. A negative outcome could potentially tarnish his image in the eyes of his staunch supporters, and would be a significant blow to his political career, which still holds substantial influence in the nation's political landscape. But one thing is certain, the stakes are high, and the situation is developing rapidly. The coming weeks will be filled with courtroom drama, tense negotiations, and high-stakes strategies. Each side will be working tirelessly to advance their cause, and the outcome is sure to have profound implications for the future of the former president and the country as a whole. Stay tuned. As the legal drama continues to unfold, the former president's properties come under the microscope, most notably his beloved Mar-a-Lago in Florida. This lavish estate, often referred to as the Winter White House, is not just a symbol of Trump's wealth, but also his primary residence. Yet, its status as a home might be challenged in the court, further complicating the seizure process. If Trump's appeal to post a smaller bond or none at all is not accepted, he would be staring down the barrel of some tough choices. One option is declaring bankruptcy, a move he has used in the past to navigate financial difficulties. However, this comes with its own set of problems, including potential damage to his brand and future business endeavors. Another option would be to start selling smaller properties to cover the debt. Trump has a vast portfolio of assets, from commercial buildings to residential properties, which could be offloaded to offset the staggering debt. However, selling properties under duress could potentially fetch lower prices, and the process itself could take time, which is a luxury the former president might not have. In the midst of this financial turmoil, Trump has claimed to have almost $500 million in cash, a statement that has raised eyebrows among experts and the public alike. If true, this could provide a significant buffer against the impending asset seizures. However, the veracity of this claim remains to be seen, as it's not uncommon for individuals in Trump's position to inflate their financial standing. As the clock ticks down, some legal experts question why a grace period was even granted. In their view, there's no room for courtesy when the former president owes a whopping $455 million to the people of the state of New York after being persistently found liable for fraud. Despite the uncertainty surrounding the situation, one thing is clear: the former president's financial and legal woes are far from over, and the outcome of these proceedings will have far-reaching implications for his future. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you the latest developments in this riveting saga.